So I've been looking at some houses, land, and basically to build a house lately, and something interesting hit me, which is knowing the brand isn't enough. And hopefully, this story you can actually transfer into your own business and apply some learnings from this story. But I thought I'd let you know. I'll walk you through my experience in the last sort of couple of weeks, and why it very likely you're probably not selling as much as you should be. You know how there's these huge, well-known brands, or well-known builders. Well, I had been looking for a house, and I've come across a lot of these builders that I've actually heard of before, and I realized that it's not really the name that made me trust them or not trust them. It was really sort of like whether I was concerned whether they would actually be able to deliver on, building a house that I wanted to build. And even though I recognized almost every builder that I came across and even walked in and saw some of their display homes and things like that, most of them didn't give me that comfortable feeling of signing the contract with them. So you might be able to translate that to your own business in a way that you actually get people, get to know people, but they don't really go in business with you. And there's an underlying question, sort of why. So anyway, so my point being that I went, I'm looking for a house to build, and I've gone and saw a lot of open homes and things like that. And one thing that I noticed is just how much effort the brands putting how good the house is, how beautiful the interior is, how good the kitchen is, and all this sort of stuff. But none of them really addressed the customer's biggest fears. What if they go under halfway through the build? So it wasn't really about the sort of like the tiles or the layout of the house or whatever else. It's really minimizing the risk to us. And you see in the news what's been happening in the last few years. So obviously that's going to impact you in one way or another. And it's going to put some of those seeds of doubt into your brain. In exactly the same way, you're probably going to have customers that have those seeds of doubt in their brain as well about your product or a service. And those doubts are going to be what gets them to choose someone else over you if you don't actually address those doubts properly and quickly at the beginning. So when one of the builders stood out to me, or when I thought that was really, really great, not because they had a better house, because all of these houses are very, very similar. Like they all have, they all look great. So it's not something that they said or that they've shown me. It's something that I saw on a billboard, and also for this same company, I actually saw it in sort of it's as part of their advertising. And they would say company name, and they would say something like, we're backed by a $4.5 billion parent company or something like that. They understand, or they're one of the only companies that understand the concerns that the customers are having. They understand the concerns that customers are, they have the fear of building and being left high and dry. And that one line instantly changed how I felt about this particular company, because they addressed my fear directly. They could have just as easily addressed it in saying, you don't pay anything until we finish a stage, for example. There's no upfront payments, or whatever the case might be. You need to address those fears that your customers have buying from you. You need to eliminate as much of that risk as you possibly can. So you can have the fanciest marketing you possibly can, but reassuring and building trust with the person that's going to buy for you means a lot. So I suppose like the lesson that really hit me, and in general in business, even though people might know who you are, they might not trust you, and that's not a bad thing, because they I think these companies are like some of these companies are very, very prestigious. Like they're really good companies, but I just didn't like. There was this hidden fear that I maybe didn't even realize I had until I read, that piece of information. So they might see your videos, you post to your website, and all that sort of stuff, but there is something that's holding your customers back, and it's the same thing that's holding people buying from me. And it's we're talking these builders, they're billion-dollar companies, and something as simple as that is probably holding back 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 customers a year from them because they're not addressing that particular concern for the customers. So the real power in market isn't just in marketing in general isn't just to show how well you do. It's in showing that you understand people's fears, their doubts, their hesitations, why they don't want to do something. So many people spend so much money getting the product or service in front of their potential customers as this is what we can do, but very few actually address some of these really, really important things, such as the hesitations, doubts, and fears. So I suppose just to sort of wind that back, next time you're marketing your own business, and that goes with me as well, and hopefully some of these billion-dollar companies, isn't just going to be how well you do something or how well your product is. We have to ask ourselves, what's stopping someone from buying us or choosing us? What is it? Don't scratch the surface, but go much deeper. What is it stopping them from buying from us? If you're buying a $5 thing, well, there probably isn't much stopping it because there's not much of a risk. But as soon as you start going into 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, or in building world, $500,000, you're making quite an investment, and people are going to be questioning a lot of things at that stage. So at that stage, you want to sort of start addressing some of these concerns, because you only get a small amount of time with your potential customers. So getting them to understand what you offer, and also you addressing those concerns quite early, is so important. So that, as soon as they move to someone else, and if someone else addresses those concerns quicker, better, and more than you, then obviously they're going to quite likely get that customer before we do. Anyway, hopefully that helped some of you, and that you do incorporate some of this into your marketing one way or another, because I think it is useful.